guess I started it. Hi, everybody. Okay, well, let's just get right into it. This here is a lot, and it was on Facebook Marketplace, and it was labeled as Lego vintage. And when I see a lot that's actually like in the description, Lego vintage or vintage Lego, I'm absolutely gonna look. My usual issue is when I see vintage Lego lots on the Facebooks or Lego vintage. It goes back to Ninja Turtles back in 2002 or something like that. Like, yeah, that's not vintage, dude. That's really not vintage at all. But you might be able to tell just by looking at it that this, I'm going to move that because I just got the little feet here. That cap. Anywho, that this is actually vintage, and there are not too many pieces here newer than 1975. Excuse me. Maybe I don't know when they took the 1x1 round brick and made it got rid of the stud and made it a hollow. I know that the first year of Classic Space and the go-kart, the original 854 go-kart, had the red 1x1 round bricks, and those were solid stud. And then just a year or two after, it became a hole in the stud. But in the end, all studs in here are solid. I've been having a cough today, and it's not COVID, but I think it's coming from camping, and we went camping on the weekend. But even the clear 1x1 round brick with clear solid stud, fantastic. Blue solid stud, white solid stud, just utterly fantastic. Very, very happy to see. So I see even black. There's black in here, solid stud. And some even have the older logo on them. I'm just trying to find one right now. I don't think I can. I saw it earlier. So, because I haven't started sorting this stuff yet. I just got it. Red, solid stud. I might have to check all my go-karts out and see if I can, like, I'm sure most of those on my go-karts are not solid. They have the hole in the stud. So that's just wonderful. And if you look at the pieces, the white is white. They haven't faded yet. There's no yellowing on the white at all. And quote unquote, most of the pieces are really, really well taken care of. Some of the pieces look like the dog chewed on them, which is kind of sad, but most of the pieces are really, really well. So the other thing there's many, many things I want to talk about this lot and why I picked it up. Because this is exactly where I wanted to be in my collection. Now, most of these pieces, well, a lot of these pieces I already have, obviously, but not in this good condition and from the era specified. Now, the antenna is broken, sad, white antenna, not a gray antenna or a translucent white antenna. But what are you going to do? It's a solid white antenna. I have a few more of those somewhere over there. I'm not going to bother. Half a yellow ladder, but not broken. A little bent on the bottom here, but not broken at all. But what really, really caught my eye, and we'll talk about that right now, is, and I talked about this in the past, is I've never in my life owned the conveyor belt from the quarry sets and the other ones. I have lots of broken pieces that I got of other lots, but I never had this before. And as I mentioned in that other video, if I wait long enough, I'm gonna find it. so this is why I love the way I collect. Because I just keep my eyes open. I keep on checking out things. Look at this. It works. It's beautiful. The rubber's good. It has the pickups here in the bottom. Which again I figured out because I never owned this before. So it's fun to actually figure out. It's an ingenious little device. I really like it. So I'm gonna actually gonna build one of the sets that this thing came in. Now I believe there's a few colors. I think there's a red one and a yellow one. I'm not sure if it came in other colors. I didn't look it up before I started the video. I was going to, but I said screw it. But I'm happy I got a working one with all the parts. This is fantastic. So there's that. So I'm gonna just put that right over there so everybody can see it. First one. 55 years old. First one I've ever owned. So that's why I bought this lot. That and other reasons why I bought this lot. Now it does have the black and yellow forklift. It's missing the spring. I don't know if the spring came in this one, but this one definitely does not have a spring. It has an old 4.5, like the old 4.5 volt wires, one wire. Doesn't have the little stud in the middle, the little notch in the middle, the pipe in the middle. And it even doesn't even have the crossed ends on it. It only has hold ends. So this is early 70s, late 60s, possibly, whenever they came out with the 4.5 volt train. I would imagine there was a train involved with this wire somehow, because I got all these train wheels here. And I never ever noticed this until right now when I'm doing this, and I should go look at mine. But of course, we all recognize these wheels with the spokes and the rubber on it as they go into the motor so it doesn't slip on the tracks. I never noticed, and you can see on the back, hopefully you can see in the back, there's a picture of the locomotive. And on the other one, there's a picture of the car. So they're differentiating between the car wheels and the engine, the locomotive wheels, because of course the locomotive has rubber on it. That's how I would have differentiated, but I've never noticed the picture on the back before, and I got tons of these wheels. Maybe they discontinued them. Maybe this was like the first year. I don't know. I haven't even looked it up yet. But there's a picture of locos on 3 or 4 of them, and the rest are car pictures of the pulling, the cars that pulls. That's something I learned today. So that's one more thing I learned today. Never knew that was a thing. I got a couple of gray hinge bricks or hinge plates, which is nice because, again, I used a few when I built my Galaxy Explorers the other day, and I ran out of 4x4 or 4x9, whatever you want to call it, every 2x9. I got lots. I have lots. I probably have a dozen left over right now of the 2x8 on the bottom and the 2x4 on the top of those hinge plates from in light gray. And I don't even want to talk about how many red ones I have. It's just a stupid number of red ones. But 2 working gray 4x2x4 hinge plates. The sad part is right here, a broken red one, but again, as I say, I have a gabillion. So this is going to go right into the bin of doom. Bye-bye, bin of doom. So the hinge plates, fantastic. The gray ones, I'm happy to see. I'm going to get my garbage bin going. The other thing, there's so many things I want to talk about, and I'm just going to keep on finding things in here that I want to talk about. And I put some things on the side. So there's that's why I think there was a train set obviously in here, because I got the train wheels. and seriously, tons of train wheels. I can try to figure out which set that was. But there's only one complete coupler, 2x4 with the magnet on the end coupler. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2x4s missing the coupler, taken off, and most of these things are pretty beat up, which is kind of sad to see. And one magnet holder with no magnet, which I think I got a few spares over there of magnets that I can put in there. So that's not a bother. 2x8 old gray, light gray, pre-classic space light gray. Probably, I won't say it's CA, but it feels slightly different. There's a couple of old gray pieces in there, always nice. And the sad, I'll show you the sad part first and then the happy part. The door, the automatic door from the era that these pieces came from, it's quite busted. It's a shame. Now I can may attempt to glue that back together. I do have a few, not too many, but I do have a few garage door holders like that. Let me get my fan. Oops, there it goes. See, already. But It wasn't as good as Breakfast in America. Here we go. Look at the door. The door is mint. The door is beyond mint. The door is gorgeous. And the clear counterweights, which are just a joy to have. And so they just go into there, and that goes into there, and you have your door. This was definitely worth the trip to Acton to get these guys. The door frame, yes, it's sad. The other thing, and this is going to go into my standard differences between old and new. And I remember this when I was very, very young and getting Lego sets and hanging over at my older cousins' places. And I would notice this when I was 4 or 5 years old, because they had older Lego bricks than I did. I got sets from 1972 on, and they had older sets than that. Is there was a remarkable difference between my 1x2 plates and their 1x2 plates. And I'm not sure what Bricklink calls these, type 1, type 2, I don't care. But the 1x2 plates, prior to me being a kid, and let's see if I can show you this. So you can see that center piece between where the studs would go in the bottom and the hollow is a line, not a circle. Now, I've stumbled across these things numerous times in my collection, I put these in my old Lego is cool Lego bin, because all the newer ones when I was a kid had the round, and so you can see the difference between the older and the newer. One's got the line and one's got the round little pip in the middle. The newer ones now have the pip hollowed out to save plastic, which I think is a good idea. The other thing is, and you look at the logo, let me just get this so you can see this. Most of those ones with the line in them, it's not sitting straight, has the old, here we go, logo. You can see it. Has the old logo from the 60s and not the new logo from the 70s, 80s, and 90s and beyond. I always like that. I don't know. I get a little thrill. I buy a lot and I'm sorting through it and I come across the 1x2 and I look at the bottom and I go, oh, it's got the line instead of the circle. It makes me happy. I now have a Lego piece that's possibly older than me in my collection. I'm not saying that they got rid of them in 1960 or whatever, but I'm thinking they could be. The pieces could be older than me. I always get a thrill when I find something that is my youth and pre my youth, which is utterly fantastic. So the next thing we're going to talk about off of that topic, so that's old Lego's cool Lego, by the way. That's a quick little tangent for old Lego's cool Lego, is the windows. And this is why I love the era of this time, because not only did the standard 2x2 the 2x1x2 brick, that window that lasted forever until they discontinued it and brought out those newer types, but I have a good billion of these windows, 1x2x2. And I even have a bunch of these windows, 6x1x2, with the bigger middle piece. And I think, did I see it for it? On the doors. I mentioned this in one of my videos before. The doors. This is the scale, HO scale. Just fantastic. But in the same era, and I can go into this maybe, I'll talk about that in a second. In the same era, they came out with 1x2x1, which I thought were really, really cool. And I got a bunch of those in this lot. And a 1x1x1 window, not the headlight brick, windows. And I adore these things. And I think they came in the Constitution, one of the last sets that ever had them. And you got a lot of them in the Constitution. When they reissued the Constitution, they didn't bother reissuing the actual windows. They used the headlight bricks. Sure, whatever. So if I remember correctly, I might be remembering that wrong. The one they didn't have in here, which is even more rare than the 1x1, is the 1x1x2, where it's 2 bricks high and it's 1x1 square. Those are really, really rare, and I used them a lot when I used building trains as the engine windows. I thought that was cool. But I always like those windows, and if I was more like my friend Howard, I would build a ton of those early 70s scale houses and villages, and have circles and arrows and a paragraph at the back of each one. I really, really appreciate that time. I really appreciate the time where these were the actual doors, because that is my youth right there. Like, until they came out with the 3x1x4 door that opened, and again the big huge bay windows, 6x1x3, a few of those. Oh, there it is, the ubiquitous 4x1x2. I think that's all about the windows and doors, except that we're going to go into the other doors now, because this again was my youth for the trucks. And you remember I showed you the trucks that are up there, because the glass for the people to see out, in that scale. And then these doors, they're only too high. Lots when I was a kid. They disappeared for a little bit, and they showed up in some classic space sets, which was just awesome. They're only black, but it was just awesome. But these ones were discontinued altogether. The 4 high ones, I think these are 5. Maybe I have to actually put some bricks together to see how high these things are. Let me do this quickly while I have everybody watching and waiting for me to do this. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Just to verify, 4 high doors, 4 bricks high doors. Not too many of these. And there's even the bigger one, I think is 5x6, 6x5. They're a massively huge door. I have very, very few of those. But I do have some, not in this lot. So I got a few of those doors. I got one of these because I never have enough of these, because if I'm going to go back and build cool Legos, old Legos, cool Lego, and build some of the trucks from back then, this is definitely something. Now there's no plate for that, which is kind of a sad thing, because I love the plate. But I got a whole stack of those somewhere. Most of the self-centering bits are broken off, but let me just get it. There we go. Maxi figs with the hats. I got some hats. Got a hat on. And so this is probably from the obviously this is from the lunar lander. I have lots of hair, lots of arms in here. So more of these guys. So always cool. So there's gonna be another. I'm gonna talk about really quickly before, because this is no tangents, just all about Lego. So Dave will be impressed with me. David can say, "Hey, Dave talked about Lego this entire video." Another change of Lego molds, and let's see if I can find a newer one, is the tile. The tile is the original tiles when they came out with tiles, and these were usually used as roadways or sidewalks, obviously. If you look really close, there is no, let me just see if I can get this. There is no lip, there's no groove in the bottom to get your fingernail underneath to pop it off. These things were so difficult to get off faceplates, especially the 10x20s, because of course they don't bend. So if you put these things down, you better put them in the right spot, because they're not coming off easy. I had lots of these before the big melt. After the big melt, hardly any, of course, because then I got all the new ones, because the groove showed up, I think, midway through the 70s. So if you look at this one, there's a groove on the edge, in the bottom, so you can get your fingernail underneath, and or a brick separator. So so there is a type 1 or type 2, I don't know if they name it that, but there are different types of tiles, one with a groove, one without a groove. The one without a groove is much older. Much older, like disappeared in the 70s, in the mid 70s. What else do I have in here? Okay, let's talk about this for a sec, because again, back to my favorites of when I was a kid. I saw one earlier. Where did I put it? That one. And look at that one. There it is. Okay. So these wheel sets, these 2x2 bricks with wheels, ubiquitous. back then is ubiquitous. They were everywhere. I got a bin and a half of them here. Half of them from when I was a kid. No, but I got a lot from when I was a kid. Ubiquitous. Every set came with these things. And these things lasted a long time, like even in into the late 70s. And I don't know if they made it into the 80s, but they lasted a long time. And this is the single tire 2x2 brick with wheel. Black brick with wheel. Lasted forever. When I was really young, they had the dualies, what we called the dualies. Right? This is what the fire trucks had and the trucks had. They would put these in the back. They would put these on the front of the vehicle, and they would put these in the back for the dualies. And so I have a bunch of these. Not nearly as much as these, but I have lots of these. Now, prior to me being a kid, I don't remember ever getting a white 2x2 brick with wheel. And I think that's because they weren't around when I was a kid. They were around before I was a kid. Or they just came in sets that I didn't get. But I haven't checked it. I don't know what years these things were available. I do know that the black was available far longer than the white. And then if you're really lucky, you find a red one or two. So, and two with dually, I'm gonna have to look this one up. I'm gonna have to see what set this came in. so red, black, and white is what those wheel sets came in. And this thing has lots of them, and a lot of them are dualies, and most of them are single, blah, blah, blah. So very happy about that. How many of those I got in this lot. I might do something with them. The other wheel set that came in here, and I think there's one or two, well, I know there's one because it's in my hand, but there might be other ones, is the motorcycle. When you built the motorcycle or a wheelbarrow or something, the single wheel on a 2x2 plate. Lots of fun. Plain landing gear, motorcycle, whatever you could do with it. The insert of the red hub in here is what we use to turn studs around, so you could actually build studs down, just because this wheel is a stud on each side of the wheel hub. So you take the rubber off of it, and then you can build down. And I think Lego's done that a few times too. Not terribly exciting. 2x4 slope brick, 45-degree angle. Pretty clear though, pretty neat. I was going to say it's not a waffle plate. Oh, excuse me. The original turntable. This is what was in all those fire station sets that I had when I was a kid. The original, it doesn't have a square in the bottom. It has this little white, so you can tell it's older. This came in black, white, and red. I don't think it came in. It might have come in other colors, but I don't remember. I just remember black, white, and red. Did it come in gray? I don't think. I'll have to look at that, because I know that I'm going to have to... Just give me a sec, because I have to check something out. I don't see anything up there that would constitute gray. But I know I have black ones, and I know I have white ones, and I know I have a red one. I have lots of red ones. So another hat for the guys. And let's get into the printed parts now, because we've talked about basically everything else. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to the tiles, is that without the groove, you can't remove them nicely from a plate without a brick separator. Of course, they didn't have brick separators when I was a kid. Our teeth were brick separators, and don't do that. So do not use your teeth. So anywho, I'm gonna get into here, move all these guys around. I'm trying to see if I find any more printed bricks in here. I don't see any more printed bricks. Oh, wait, before I get to printed bricks, tow truck, fantastic. Just a tow clip. I have very few of these. Good to have one, but okay. So and then the propeller, yeah, standard. Not much else in there. There are a couple really old 1x1 plates and a couple newer ones, but I can't find any old ones right now. Another 2x2 door. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay, so now we're into, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, when some of these pieces are really beat up, which is kind of sad. But very few pieces in here that are really beat up like that. There's that blue one. There's a red one, and there was a black one that I pulled out just to show you guys, but I showed you the red one, so it doesn't matter. That. Now we get into the printed pieces, old printed pieces. Yes, there was Shell, obviously, Shell, and the Policio. So there's the Police. Fantastic. S21. I wouldn't know what that is because I got a bunch of these bricks, but I can't remember off the top of my head, so it doesn't matter. And then we have the Legoland, and even 2 black ones. Fantastic. And then we get the Headlight Bricks, because Headlight Bricks are always the rage from back in the day. Red, white, and yellow. And one Policio, so I might actually build another cruiser just to add to my pile of cruisers. I don't think there's another 2x3 in here, so I might have to find something. And the 1x2 Lego brick, and the mail brick. So I don't know if that's a misprint or if that's the way it's supposed to be, not centered. I might have to look this up. So in the end, oh yeah, so here's a blue tire by itself. In the end, utterly fantastic. In the end, a lot of these pieces, the unique old pieces, are going to go into my bin that I got going for old Legos, cool Lego. Even the 1x2 trans clear with old logo on it, old 60s logo on it, just beautiful, and it's not yellowed at all. So I was really impressed with this. I don't know how this piece got in here. That should not be here at all, because everything else here is prior to the 80s. Where did I put my bricks? Here it is. So especially the 1x1 rounds bricks, I think I'm just happy when I get pieces that are from when I was young. And the 2x4 wheel bricks, all in good condition. It doesn't look like there's a lot of wear and tear in them. So either the kids were extremely delicate with this set or these pieces, because these didn't come from one lot. There's a bunch of lots in here, a bunch of sets in here. So when I was talking to the seller, so let's talk about this for a sec. When I was talking to the seller, I was excited, and the fact that he held on to it, because I saw it the weekend when we were camping. And I said, I'll be there Monday. So I showed up today. I got it off him. I won't tell you for how much, but it wasn't expensive in context. Considering the oldness of the pieces and the good quality of the pieces. It was what I think. Oh, there's another time I mentioned it. So there's a blue with the old logos on it. So it didn't even break my coffee money. Really, it was very cheap. And I said, this is historic stuff. They said, well, we're the kids have stopped playing with it. And I'm going, so this is why I think I just overthink everything, as I've mentioned many times. No tangent. When I meet somebody, like the last lot that I got from that person's house from where I went, not the same house, but close. She was an elderly lady, and it was a lot of classic space, right? And she says her kids does the hobby, and I said, what about the grandkids? And she said the grandkids weren't interested, because she was retiree, like my parents' age. so I get why there was lots of classic space in there. And I said, that makes perfect sense to me, right? That perfect sense that she bought it when her kids were kids. And they just put it in a box, put it on a shelf until the next generation, their kids showed up. And then the new kids weren't interested in it anyway. And so I got this lot that had those 8 spaceships. I think it was 8, whatever. And fantastic for me, right? So I get this lot, and I saw the picture, and I said, oh, they're either going to be my age and had these when they were kids, or they're going to be my parents' age and they bought them for their kids, and their kids are now downsizing. So when I met the guy who sold it to me, he's seemed I won't say remarkably younger than me, but he seemed much, I would say, a decade younger than me, at least. Um, and he goes, "Oh, our kids aren't playing with this anymore." And I'm going, "What? These aren't your pieces? You didn't have these weren't for you when you were a kid?" Like I was a lot more polite and whatever, but it didn't compute to me. All our kids are grown up now. They don't play with it anymore. I'm going, well, I am unique that I'm my age and have a 13-year-old. But overall, like, you wouldn't have bought this in the last 20, 30, or almost even 40 years. Like, these are 50-year-old pieces. Like, they're 40 to 50-year-old pieces. And so that was a bit of a thing. I found that very curious, that my kids do not play with this anymore. And I'm looking, every time I come across, forget about this piece. Oh, I love this piece. Every time I come across a lot, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos, just take me, for example. At the age of 11, I get classic space. I treat it, I won't say perfectly well, but pretty well. And then I started buying my own. And then had I been like 99% of the rest of the Lego fans out there, I would have hit my dark ages at 14, 15, put it in a box somewhere, right? But I would have, overall, me and my friends treated our Lego collection not like gold, but we took care of it from the 70s and 80s. We took care of the pieces. We didn't like take it out to the sandbox. We didn't run over it with our big wheels. We didn't do that to our Lego. The Lego was, again, the fans did not. And again, I look back now, and yes, I could have treated my Lego collection better. But again, I was 8, so I'm not faulting me as an 8-year-old. I think it's whatever. But usually every lot that I get since then, since when I started buying used lots, every lot that I get that had era-specific pieces to my childhood, and they were completely, a lot were beat up, and especially the minifigs. I mentioned this in a few of my videos. I really notice what happens is that, so again, my age. And if they got married like at 19, 20, 21, like most people who accept me, they have kids, or they have their nephews coming over, in the 90s, say, the minifigs get beat the crap, right? Because the parents don't think about it anymore, right? Because I put my Lego in a box when I was 13. Now I'm 30, and my 8-year-old or my nephew's coming over, and he's 6 or 5. The parents don't understand that when we were 8, it's different than when their kids are 8. And I don't know why that's a huge difference, but it seems to be a difference of how they take care of things. And so the minifigs get really, and of course, when I was 8, the minifigs didn't even exist. So there is that. I didn't get a minifig till I was 11. Anyway, and so the minifigs get just decimated. I found so many lots that the pieces are overall really, really good, but the minifigs are just scratched and dented, and there's teeth marks on them, and like they're really, really bad. And I'm going, that's not the guy who owned this originally. Obviously, clearly not the guy who owned this originally. The family the kids that owned this originally. I don't want to make guy to be sexist, by the way. When I say hey guys, it's like everybody, but I'm going to try to be better. Quick tangent. So and I have come across more than one, so it's an actual data point, more than one lot where the minifigs are really, really decimated, and yet the pieces of the rest of the lot are really, 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 because the 8-year-old doesn't have the instructions to build the space sets or the town sets or the castle sets, and they're 8, and they just want to play with the minifigs. And again, this is me just conjecturing, just thinking about it. And so what happens is that, and so when I look at this and the guy goes, oh, my kids aren't playing with this anymore, I'm going, if you're younger than me and your kids aren't playing with this, they're in fantastic condition. Did they actually play with it? That's a question. Anyway, so what he said to me was, this was his first kick at the can for selling Lego on the marketplaces, and what him and his wife are going to be doing all fall and winter is, and I'm looking at this lot, we are going to work on, he said, we're going to work on rebuilding all the sets and make sure they're all there before you put them on the marketplace. And I'm going, I'm definitely going to watch your page because if this is what you're selling as just a random lot of pieces that you just don't want in the house anymore because it's in your way, I can't wait to see what sets you have that you're trying to complete to sell. And it's not going to be like the standard 2468 or the 1359 or the 744 even, or all those sets that I had, the 10. Like they're not going to be like, this lot would be fit right into this guy, like this era. And this was 1970. What is this? 1970. Well, I want to say 3, but I could be wrong. There's no date on this thing. I thought there was a date on this thing. You know, I should look things up before I start these videos. But I don't know what I'm going to talk about until I get there. But anyway, if this is the condition that these pieces are in, I want to see what condition the actual completed sets are in. Because like I go, oh wow. So I'm going to keep an eye out for him to post more stuff, and I'm going to be happy to bid on it, and we'll go from there. But I wanted to share this with you guys because I was very happy to, and I love these guys. So I was very happy to get this lot, and it's really, really a yellow. Where did I put that at? Another 4 yellow, 2 black. I don't know how many different colors the Legoland logo came in back in the day, but I have white, and I believe I have red, and I want to say I have blue. I think I have blue. Probably all the primary colors that they came up with. Never on a clear brick. Kind of sad. They didn't do that. Anywho, that's it. I'm going to have an entire video that's 36 minutes long, and all I talked about 99.9% of it was Lego. So I'm going to go find a set to build around this thing now, and I'm going to probably make a video of that. So there you go, people. I want you to know that I was thinking about you and us camping, and I didn't get a video up, but that's fine. I was thinking, and I was appreciating all of you who watched this and left me lots of comments to come home to. It was fantastic, and I really do appreciate our little community here, and I do appreciate that. So in the end, stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.